Here's a tricolor woolly bugger. Woolly buggers are great. They've been known to catch every kind of fish out there. If I can get this hook off the table here, we can start tying one. So get that hook locked in here. Going to be, actually before we do that, let's get that bead head on. The beads typically have two different size holes. So what we're looking for is the smaller hole to go on first. So that's this side here. You can't see that, but there goes that. And then you bring that up around. If you have a little trouble with that barb, you might need to crimp it. So let me go ahead and do that real quick on this one. Flatten that barb. That should take care of it for us. So now let's get that bead back up here. Find that small hole. Now that goes right on with that barb crimp down. Going to be using some olive thread here. So get that started. And this fly is typically tied from the back to the front. We're just going to get this thread here to the back. Now, this one gets its name from the three colors of tail feathers. You can see there's some flash in there too. So we're going to start with green on the bottom. Take a little green marabou. I'm going to measure it there, and I'm going to actually cut this before I tie it on. Next up is the brown. Same deal here, just going to grab a portion of this. Cut it off the feather here. Match that up for length. Tie that on top. And then black on the top of there. Get that thread towards the back again real quick. Now this extra stuff, I'm just going to tie that down to kind of bulk up the body a little bit. And it's going to get a little crazy here, but that's fine. I'm going to trim off the extra length part. Now I can just really work to kind of flatten that section down a little bit better. Just like that. Next part we're going to tie in is just a little bit of the flash material. What I like to do is basically just fold this in half a couple of times. It's easier said than done sometimes though. Now if I tie in, you can see it kind of twisting on me. If I tie this in on my side, then I can bring this half over to the back side. And then ultimately we're just going to come in and stretch those out, cut off the loops. Same on this side. And then you can cut that flash to length too. Try to even that out so it's on the side more. It's kind of laying flat down there towards the bottom. Now we're going to tie in all the materials for the body. We're going to tie in chenille. Actually, that's going to come in a minute here. Let's start with the wire. This wire is a supporting wire to help hold everything in place. So we'll tie this down. Sometimes what I like to do is on the front, I like to just bend that back over because the wire might try to slip out. That little loop that you've tied in might help lock it in place a little bit more. We're also going to tie in this little piece of this flash. So I'm just going to cut a length of this out of the bag. Tie that in here at the back. This flash is a little hard to see on the body of the fly, but it's in there. We're also going to tie in the hackle feather. Get this one here, just one of those. I like to tie the tip in first. That puts the longer feathers towards the front. Just kind of bulking up the head section a little bit. And then last we tie in the chenille. I'm going to run this the length of the body, because then when I tie it in, it'll give it a more even, uniform thickness to the body. If you tie it just in at the end, you kind of have to overcome that hump that it creates from where you tied it in. This way the body's just a little bit more uniform in thickness. And then we're going to bring that thread right back up behind the bead again. First material to come forward will be the chenille. We're just going to wrap that over end to end. Then tie that off. Next one we're going to bring up is the hackle feather. And basically what you're trying to do is just put this in between those wraps of chenille, kind of bury it in between each wrap. That'll help get those hackle fibers to spread out and look nice. Maybe one extra wrap up here at the front. Tie that off. Now we've got the wire and the flash. So what we're going to do is wrap this in the opposite direction. I'm going to start with the flash, and you're going to kind of wiggle it because you don't want it to compress down all those hackle fibers. So you kind of wiggle it, trying to get it between each of them. You're going to put some down a little bit. That's normal. Don't worry about that. The fish aren't worried about it either. And when you get up here, of course, you're going to tie this off. Wrap it around the thread a little bit. That should help kind of control it for a second. And you come in here and a couple of wraps, snip that off. The last one is this wire. This wire just basically kind of helps hold everything in place again. That flash is going to do the job too. I'm trying to get this kind of between those so you can still see the flash a little. This makes it so this fly will hopefully hold up to more than one big fat fish. Couple of wraps there. Wire you can usually just twist and wear that section off and it snaps off. I like to do a couple more wraps behind the bead here to kind of build up a nice head. Right behind it. Then take the whip finisher to finish it off. Cut that thread. Now, because we did lay those materials on top of that hackle, you can come in with the bodkin and kind of gently pick and see if there's any that you can that are loose enough that you can kind of pull back out. This looks buggy enough, but sometimes you can catch a few and bring them back out to the surface. And there's the tri-colored woolly bugger.